Welcome to Fiery Discourse, your podcast and media featuring dragonesses, female dinosaurs, and other similar stories and scalies. I'm your host, Ludmillanon, and with me are my co-hosts, Angron, Mathmachine, the Shark, Jordan, and Stryker. Today is our 110th episode, and we're discussing the 2024 Spidey and His Amazing Friends episodes, Go Dino Webs Go! So, let's get things started.
Peter. Can the Spider-Man come out to play? Well, we also have Gwen and Miles, but I'm more interested in Peter.
Interesting intro.
Could have delivered that better, but whatever.
Yeah, it's all good. But yeah, so Spidey and His Amazing Friends. First off, we are not doing the 80s show, which is called Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. I don't know why they'd call this show so similar to that one, but sadly, this is not that. Spidey and His Amazing Friends is a Disney Junior spin-off of Spider-Man that has Peter Parker, Spider-Gwen, here called Ghost Spider, and Miles Morales, here called Spin, as heroes. So they go about saving the day from villains and the like. This is kind of like the young Jedi Adventures of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that pretty much is the best way to sum this up. Yep, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, glad you're comparing it to Young Jedi already, because we're probably going to be referencing that a lot. It's the exact same animation style. It's a preschool show based off of already existing property. It is almost one-to-one.
Yeah, it is. I'm sorry, go ahead, Angron.
For the most part, the style is different enough that it can stand out differently from Young Jedi Adventures. Even though, to me, the detail is a little too in-depth sometimes. That's just me, though. Shark?
Yeah, there seems to be a pattern of Disney acquires a franchise, sell it to everyone, not make a kids show so the little kids can get their merch. So, yep, get ready for young Homer Simpson eventually.
Oh, God. Well, to be fair, Simpsons did that since the beginning because they had a series of picture books starring Maggie Simpson, which learns about shapes and colors. So let's be honest, it wouldn't be out of the possibility for the Simpsons to do that because they already tried it.
They did have those Maggie shorts on Disney Plus.
Those are cute. But yeah, so basically, one funny element about this show that, at least for me, is really humorous is basically the spider trio. They have these little like spider robots that go and help them on their missions and that. Here's the thing. These little spider robots made their debut in the Disneyland Paris Spider-Man ride. On the ride, basically, the backstory is they're self-generating robots that go out of control with kind of like a gray goo thing. And basically, the ride's plot is you and Spider-Man have to destroy all of the robots before they destroy the rest of like the Avengers area of the theme park and that. And it is kind of hilarious seeing like the difference between the ride where they're like, oh god, the spider robots are everywhere, you gotta stop them, to this show where they're like, aw, the spider robots are so cute. So those things that again, it's kind of funny when you compare like apples and oranges and that. But yeah, go ahead, Angron.
Yeah, circling back to what Stryker said about the Maggie book thing, all I gotta say is, when are we gonna get a Maggie thing, as in Maggie from Home on the Range?
That'd be interesting. But
yeah.
The show begins with its theme song, which is sung by Patrick Stump from Fall Out Boy. I guess they couldn't get Alien Ant Farm or the Red Jumpus apparatus, so we're getting 2000s metal bands that do kids show themes now. Basically, what happens is the theme song is done in a really neat comic book panel style that I have to admit is cute. I like that they do that, and we see them basically interacting with other Marvel characters like Spider-Man, Black Panther, White Tiger, and most notably The Thing. So this show for literal preschoolers did the Fantastic Four before the mainline MCU did, so let that sink in.
Yeah, also, it's honestly kind of jarring seeing a freaking heavy metal band like Fall Out Boy do something so innocent and for kids like Spidey and His Amazing Friends. Like, it's just baffling thinking about it.
Yeah, definitely an odd casting choice right there, especially for the theme song. But they also basically fight off different villains such as the Lizard, Green Goblin, and the Trapster, respectively. And
Oh God, Paste Pot Pete.
yeah, except here they made the Trapster a female. Same thing with Electro, but not the lizard. So
Oh, don't
we'll have to
worry.
see
That's what your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is for.
and we
Later,
will cover that
anyways.
in the future because definitely looking forward to when we finally see a female version of the lizard. But getting to this one, the episode Go Dino Webs Go begins with the spider trio swinging through the trees and basically greeting everyone they meet, which include a mother and daughter going hiking, a pair of bird watchers, and a father and son going fishing before they go to the Dino Web treehouse. And much like Angron said, this is also a problem for me too, is that the human designs, they look kind of weird in the show. Like, for characters like the Green Goblins or, the spiders, it's okay because they have the masks on and Green Goblin has the green skin and that, but for the actual human beings, they look a little weird. They're like too smooth and it might not make sense, but it's like their skin is too detailed, if that makes sense. Like you can see the pores and some of it, and granted, this is really good animation software, but at the same time, it's like, did you have to really go that hard? It's not Polar Express level bad or anything, but it definitely is a little interesting. But let's see. Go ahead, Shark.
Something I quickly noticed in the animation is that even though they're swinging in their spider webs, in many shots they aren't really swinging. Like they're not moving in a pendulum way. They're not going up. They're not going down. They're just going forwards, like they were holding like from a drone or from a helicopter going forward. So yeah, and the fact that it's really easily noticeable is telling on the animation per se.
Yeah, and like I say, another thing that's really interesting is the fact that when they swing, their webs don't appear to be connected to anything. It's like they're just like playing it in the sky and like sliding through and that. Definitely
Yeah.
interesting there. Matthew, we're gonna say
They hit the skybox.
that too, or like in Zelda, they have their hook shots instead.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Matthew, you're saying?
Yeah, this is something I've never understood about modern CG preschool shows. They basically all use the same animation style, and all of their character designs are effectively Funko Pops. I don't get why.
Ooh.
They sell.
Yeah, I guess
Apparently.
so. And yeah, a Funko Pop is a pretty good comparison to make with this show because, yeah, they all have that weird kind of uniformity in a way. And it, again, looks odd. Like, you can take these characters, put them in like Rebel era outfits, and they could be Star Wars characters. They literally look exactly the same like the guys from Young Jedi Adventure. And it is really, really something else.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank goodness for the spider guys being in costume for the most part, because yeah, like you said, their thing does not work all that great. It's one of those things that definitely bothers me and a few other people, but thankfully they're in their costumes and have their masks on, so I can't fault this episode for that, thankfully, too much.
Yeah, no, I hear you. But yeah, you were gonna say, Angron?
I already said it.
Oh, all good, all good. So yeah, basically, what happens next is that the spider trio then go to their Dino Web treehouse. And one thing I have to say about this is, if this is what Peter owns, he definitely doesn't have money problems in this continuity.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Probably because no J. Jonah Jameson, so I guess that helps. Though it would be hilarious if he was in this version and he was just like and he was still like the Jameson we know, but yeah, he was screaming about like 10-year-olds, like, oh, those darn spider kids helping old ladies cross the street. It's all a lie.
They're a menace to society. They must be uncovered.
Exactly. I mean, missed opportunity right there not to have Jameson a part of the show because
Yeah.
he's always fun. But the group then meet up with their superhero friend Reptile. Now, Reptile is interesting because I looked this up. He's an actual Marvel character. So
Yep.
good points on them for actually, doing more research. And again, having more Marvel characters in it than like the MCU does, or at least more accurate versions. Let's do it that way. Oh, Go ahead, Angron.
Interesting thing about Reptile is that I only know him from Marvel's Superhero Squad, which in turn took a lot of stuff from the classic Marvel comics. At first, I thought Reptile was honestly like original to that alone. But when you mentioned that, I was like, okay, this bears some more investigating. I also know him from the Avengers Christmas special, and also this now. But yeah, I am very much surprised that the rabbit hole goes deeper than that.
Yeah, definitely. So, Shark, you were saying?
I think one advantage of owning Marvel and using their characters is that they have so many heroes, even in the obscure part, that pretty much if you need a plot to happen, you have the hero for that. Oh, you need an episode where it's going to snow? Oh, there's this hero that can change the weather. Oh, you're going to do an episode where they get stuck in a video game? Oh, there's this hero whose power just happened to be putting people in. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think they did their whole creature of the week / guy of the week more than DC did.
Yep. Sadly, they do not have an episode with the character Moon Dragon, aka the heroine who can turn into a dragon. Shame.
Or Moon
but
Knight.
again,
We could have
yep.
gotten to wear it.
At least that too. Definitely would have been interesting. But basically, what happens next is that Miles basically tells Reptile that the treehouse is looking really great. Reptile says that he's adding a new bridge as Peter asks if he needs any help. Reptile basically asks them to web a piece of wood in place as he puts it on, then transforms into a T-Rex in order to do it. And again, here I like that his powers of turning into various dinosaurs is something that, again, really creative. And I'm actually surprised more superheroes haven't had this before because, again, it's such a power that kids would love in that.
Yep.
Definitely interesting there. But before go ahead, Math. Sorry.
One thing I noticed, and I heard it later, so it was just a weird coincidence here. The background music was doing this little ting kind of sound. When Reptile said, "Oh, hey, can you help me with this piece of wood?" Ting, and put it up there. Ting, like one of those. Hey, kids, do you want to help me with this to do that? That kind of thing. So I thought that that's what the show was doing, but no, just weird coincidental timing. The background music lined up perfectly with that.
Yeah.
That is definitely I didn't actually notice that. I guess I'll have to rewatch and see that because interesting thing right there. But yeah, so what happens next basically is that a civilian runs in screaming about a robot T-Rex that turns out to be piloted by none other than the Green Goblin, and it's obvious we know why he did it. The mask told him to. The heart, Osborn. First strike at the heart, and then you build a robot dinosaur.
Nice. Oh, I got another good one.
Go ahead.
Itsy bitsy spiders climbed up the water spout. Down came the robot and crushed the spiders out.
Nice one. Yeah, we're all gonna be doing a lot of Norman jokes in this case, especially from the Romney movie. Go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah, something I noticed when the Green Goblin arrived is that something that's weird, especially because every character pretty much has the same body type, is that, well, the heroes are kids. They have kid voices, but Green Goblin, he sounds like an adult. So
yeah, he sounds like a gremlin. Or, a goblin. A fully mature goblin.
Yeah, but basically, I get what Chuck. I get what you're saying. That the Green Goblin basically he sounds like an adult, but he has like the child-sized body. I noticed that too.
Yeah. And well, I haven't watched any other episode, but if the whole thing is like, oh,
It's what? Sorry.
I think I might have cut off.
Mike, Matthew, you're saying?
Yeah, I can already see people asking, why is Green Goblin using a robot?
Oh, he's having a connection issue. I see.
It's okay. Sorry. Matthew, you're saying? Sorry.
I can already see them asking, why is Green Goblin using a robot dinosaur? Well, you see, he's something of a scientist himself.
I was gonna make that joke.
Oh God, yeah.
Good times. Alright.
But yeah, so what happens next basically is that the Green Goblin, of course, is piloting this robot dinosaur. And again, I do give him credit because because the Green Goblin says, "Oh, I'm going to ruin everybody's day with it." To which I have to say two things. Number one, they made him comic accurate, which I give him points for that. I give him points for actually basing him on the Green Goblin comic and not basing it on like the suit from like the Tobey Maguire movie or that. And number two, I absolutely can see Green Goblin going out of his way just to annoy everyone and ruin their day. That is definitely something he would do in between all of the murder and mayhem.
Yep. In other words, he's batshit insane.
Yep,
But
definitely.
cartoony way, like the Joker.
Nice. But yeah, like I said, what happens next basically is that the Green Goblin basically Reptile tells him that you're not going to stop anyone, and he turns into a Triceratops before the Green Goblin says that you aren't going anywhere. To which I have to say, hey, he learned about punching the Crypt Keeper. All he needed was at the end of that sentence to do a little.
Yeah.
Then it would have been perfect. But basically, what happens next is he shoots goo at a reptile, which traps into the ground, and something, if I had a nickel, something, dinosaur getting caught in goo. Because the same thing happened in Super Dinosaur, of course.
That's
go ahead,
fair.
Matt.
I'm just going to go on a small tangent here for a moment, since we're talking about Green Goblin himself. This show does exactly what we wanted from Young Jedi with Selleck. He was our favorite character there, and we kept talking about how the show felt like it was constraining and confining her. This show does the exact opposite. It lets Green Goblin go full out. He is complete extra. He just goes full, no pun intended, goblin mode with this. Every scene that he is in makes me want to straighten my bow tie and go, listen here, you little shit. I want to shake the hand of the writer that understood, make the villains as over the top as possible because it's entertaining.
Oh, you think the villain was entertaining? Buddy, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, like I said, I have to agree with you, Matt, that Goblin is definitely the best part of that show. And I can see why, because number one, the voice actor behind him is having so much fun, you know?
Yeah.
Definitely. Perfect. But yeah, so what happens basically is that since Super Dinosaur isn't here to save the day, the Spider Trio all shoots web at the robot dinosaur's foot, but the Green Goblin simply has the dinosaur robot jump to get out of it. He mentions that the webs can't stop him, not when he has a super strong tail, to which case, okay, that doesn't connect to anything, but of course, Green Goblin is insane. Go ahead, Shark.
Well, there is one Webs that could stop him, especially because she's an expert hacker that could
Yeah.
make his machine malfunction.
Yep.
If only
And
this is made by DreamWorks and not Disney, then we could have had that happen. Such a missed
Yeah.
opportunity there.
Also, on the tail thing, I mean, it's a robot dinosaur, and it's probably got like a strong lower end, like most dinosaurs. So, to be fair, let's be fair on that.
Yeah, true. But basically, Goblin then storms off, saying that since Reptile is stuck in the goo and the Spider Trio are no match for him, he's gonna go off to ruin nature for everyone. And again, I think why the Goblin works here is because he's just so hammy. You know, you can tell again, like the voice actor for him, he's having a ball doing it. Like they told him play the Green Goblin, and he's taking this as seriously as like the actual Green Goblin in a more mature, basically version of Spider-Man would be.
Yep.
But Peter asks if Reptile is okay and if he can get out of there. Reptile says that he can, but it'll take time and that the Green Goblin is on the loose. Miles says that they have to stop him, but Gwen says that his robot dinosaur is too strong because it broke their webs. And to which I have to say only one thing. The Green Goblin has committed so many crimes already, but nothing can go beyond the pale. He stole Truckosaurus from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Wow.
But Miles says that it'd be great if they had his dinosaur powers, as Reptile realized that he could use his gem to turn them into dinosaurs. He casts a spell with it as a green glow hits all three members of Team Spider, including giving their spider suits making there already webs in it green, which nice little touch there. Probably to sell more toys as well, but let's be
Oh, yeah.
real, that's the nature of animation, has been for decades. But Peter mentions that they're Dino Web suits, to roll credits there. Reptile tells them to press the green gems on their spider emblems in order to change. And of course, Gwen is the first one to do this, and she turns into a pterodactyl, which is why we are covering this show and this episode in particular. Now, Gwen's design here, at least as a pterodactyl, is kind of interesting because basically she looks almost identical to Mrs. Pterodon from Dinosaur Train, just with the color scheme of Spider-Gwen. I'm not saying this is a bad thing, because Mrs. Pterodon had a great design, but it is kind of unusual when you do notice it.
Yeah. But still, it's a very great design. Like it meshes well with her suit. It makes her look unique in spite of just being a pterodactyl. And good lordy, going forward, once every freaking spider person in this becomes a dinosaur, it is everything we possibly could have wanted, and then some. Doesn't quite hit the complete niche for the most part, but I will wholeheartedly admit that seeing them be dinosaurs and kick ass while doing it, it was amazing.
Yeah, we'll definitely see that kind of thing later. But first, go ahead, Shark.
Yeah, when I was watching this episode and I got to that part, when I saw Gwen become a pterodactyl, my first thought was, oh hey, Spider Elsa.
Nice. If only it was her. But basically, what happens is Miles becomes a Stegosaurus and Peter becomes a T-Rex. Sadly, we do not know if he is Spider T-Rex from Spider-Verse. But if they reveal that he was, that would retroactively make this entire show worth it, just for that alone.
That would be awesome if it was, but we'll see. For now, Dino action.
Yep. Reptile says that with 3 dinosaurs against 1 robot, Green Goblin doesn't stand a chance. The trio run off as Reptile manages to free one of his paws. We then cut to the mother and daughter hiking before the daughter asks for a treat and they sit on a bench together. Green Goblin shows up and shoots goo at them, which traps them in the ground. And it's here that the mother's scream at this moment, for some reason, is unintentionally funny to me because, I don't know to you guys, but to me it sounded kind of lifeless, and that just made it funnier in my opinion.
Yeah, like
it was, like that,
Yeah, like the commentary and dialogue here is cookie cutter and for kids, but stuff like that and a few other stuff later definitely made this episode worth the watch.
Oh, easily. But, of course, the spider trio all show up in their dinosaur forms, and it's here we get probably the best moment of the episode to me, because we see Green Goblin's confused reaction, and it's like, what is going on here? Which, again, the animators on him probably had more fun because, let's say it this way, with a character like Norman Osborn, there's a lot you can do with him, so, yeah.
Yep.
But Miles says that they're stopping him, but Goblin, of course, retorts with, I don't think so, and throws a log at them, causing the trio to stumble. And I know this is our preschoolers and all, but one thing I do have to say is that this episode, and probably this show in general, is just so low stakes. It's kind of unintentionally humorous to me. I mean, to its target audience, I understand why, but at the same time, not to compare apples and oranges, but you look at like the Young Jedi Adventures episode we covered, that one had, actual stuff like space pirates and that wanted to take over the galaxy. Here, the Green Goblin just wants to piss off everybody and ruin their day, which, to be fair, is something that Norman Osborn absolutely would do. But, again, it's one of those things where you kind of have to stop and think about it,
Yeah, it's a little jarring, especially for something like Green Goblin, who has done way worse in more serious comics, and even in more kid-friendly comics. But yeah, I don't personally mind it as much. It does get a little repetitive, him just doing random stuff for the most part, and the Spiderman just coming in and being all like, "Hey, stop right there!" But it didn't bother me too much. Dialogue aside, I was perfectly fine with this.
Yeah, I can understand why. Let's see.
Sure.
First off,
Like
go ahead.
DC version of this with young Batman or something like that, it will be like having the Joker and the only thing he could do is throw pie at people.
Yeah, Yeah, although to be fair, they did do that with Joker, and DC does have their version of this kind of show. It's called Bat Wheels, and it's basically what if we did Cars, but the Batmobile.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it goes from there. And I love how every single DC villain has to have some kind of vehicle. Every single one in that show. It is almost ridiculous in a way. But getting back to this show, because Bat Wheels doesn't have anything for us to talk about. Basically, what happens? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
I'm actually kind of the opposite here. I think that this, at least this particular episode, works so well because it's low stakes. The issue that we had with Young Jedi is that it was trying to somewhat take itself seriously as a Star Wars show, but it was doing it in the preschool way by being as bland and generic and forgettable as possible.
For the most
Here,
part.
by emphasizing just how kiddified everything is, at the very least, Gobby's voice actor is going full ham and just eating every scene he can. And it seems to work in this particular context.
Yeah, I agree. There is a little bit of a innocence to this in a way that definitely makes stuff like Young Jedi and a few other Disney Junior preschool shows feel a little lackluster in that department.
I definitely see where you guys are coming from. Because again, I feel like this show, I don't know, the writing seems better. I know it's like comparing, stuff that, grown people should not compare in a way, but I feel like the writing on this show is better than the one from Young Jedi Adventure in that it actually is compelling, I guess, for its target audience. But let's say it this way. I would say that this show probably is better than Young Jedi Adventures, but we'll get to more of that in a little bit. What happens is Miles and Gwen chase the Green Goblin, who calls it pre-hysterical. Again, no Crypt Keeper laugh, so gotta dock points for that. But Peter stays behind to help out the hikers. The daughter screams at the sight of another dinosaur, but Peter assures them it's only him and turns back to his human form. He tells them to hold out their walking sticks as he turns back to the T-Rex, pulls him out with his teeth, then runs off to help out the others. We then cut to the father and son fishing on the lake, and here we get one of the few animation errors that really bugged me. I mean, to be fair, this show, for the most part, is animated pretty good. After last week with Super Mario World, anything would look good after that.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, one thing that is kind of weird about this show, though, is the water texture, because the father and son are in a canoe, they're floating on the water, but what it is it looks like they're floating above the water. It's like there's an invisible barrier between them and the actual, lake water. It's one of those things that it's hard to describe, but when you actually watch it and you see it, it is so weird looking. Thankfully, they don't hold on the frame for very long, but it's still one of those things that I definitely had to rewind and look at it just to make sure that I actually saw it like that, because definitely an interesting thing there.
Yep.
But anyway, the boy says how much he wants to catch a big fish as Goblin arrives and says, "How about a big wave instead?" And he knocks a boulder into the lake. The wave carries them away, but of course it doesn't knock the boat over because, again, really, really little kids show. Well,
Yep.
I will say the one thing. If a little boulder did this to the lake, just be happy the Iron Giant wasn't here to do a cannonball.
Warnstar!
Yep, like that. Classic. But Miles and Gwen arrive as Green Goblin remarks, spiders again. To which I have to say one thing. At least Patrick Star wasn't here because we know he'd freak out over spiders.
Yeah, he would.
Yep, and we got our SpongeBob quota in their episode, folks. But Green Goblin basically shoots goo out of his cannons and hits Gwen, who falls out of the sky into a bush. Miles asks if she is okay as Green Goblin trips him with the robot dinosaur tail. The Goblin basically tells him to give up as his robot dinosaur is too powerful, but Gwen chases after him as the father asks for help, noting that his oar for the boat is drifting away too far. And it's here where I noticed one thing about this show. The citizens in this show are more useless than the ones from Townsville. I have except Spider-Man, Spider-Gwen, and Miles basically having to tell, the citizens, why shouldn't you put toaster in a bathtub? Because then your toast gets soggy. Oh, yeah!
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, if only that happens, but it doesn't. Oh, go ahead, Shark.
Maybe Lex Luthor was right.
Yep. He definitely could have been, that's for sure. But basically, Miles wonders how he can get them back, then remarks that he is so large he can swim to them and have them ride on his back before going to shore. He swims out as the boy is actually impressed by his appearance, and he has a line that I think speaks for all of us. He says, "Fishing and riding on a dinosaur? Best day ever!" In which case I have to say, yes, kid, yes, that is the best day ever.
See, this is why I feel this episode works a lot better than Young Jedi Adventures. Like, it knows what it is, and yet it leans heavily into it. It knows who it's appealing to, and despite the cringe, it still has a good time doing it. Yeah, the cringe is there, but stuff like this, where they're like letting the characters be characters and ultimately just have a sense of like innocence and fun to it, more shows should honestly do that. Yeah, we got stuff like Bluey who does that while also being smart about it. But I gotta give props to this show for appealing to a lot of us who have those kinds of fantasies and have those kinds of opinions, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you there. Like I say, that the people who were making the show did have fun in their way. Oh, go ahead, Math.
I'm also going to defend the show that it's actually surprisingly smarter than it seems. So the people that the Dino Webs are helping are the same people that they were swinging past in the beginning in the same order that they saw them.
Okay, that's interesting.
Huh.
Yeah, mad props, show. Mad props.
Yeah, that is clever. I give them credit. I give them a lot of credit for that, you know? But basically, what happens next, of course, is that we cut to the bird watchers as they see a yellow-bellied sapsucker before Goblin shows up and says, "You've never seen anything like me!" And one of the bird watchers then has an unintentionally hilarious line as he stammers out, "You're not a bird!" And basically, I'm surprised. I did not think with all the Marvel superheroes in this show, I did not think that we'd get to see a surprise guest appearance from Captain Obvious.
Nice. Also, on that topic of him not calling Goblin not a bird, interesting thing here. Like T-Rexes and a few other dinosaurs are classified as birds by relation to modern day animals. So, like him saying that just made me think. Technically no, but it is based off of one.
Yeah, I definitely can see that in a way. But basically what happens, of course, is that... Oh, go ahead, Shark.
I also feel like this joke would have definitely worked if the villain of this episode was the Vulture.
Yeah, that definitely would have as well. But sadly, they do not show up in this. So what happens is Goblin knocks down the bridge, causing him to get trapped in the tree. Peter and Gwen show up as Gwen tells Peter to keep chasing the Green Goblin while she rushes the bird watchers. They're amazed at seeing a pterodactyl, so she carries him to the ground and then flies off together. And then we then cut to the Green Goblin standing on a hill as he decides to knock large boulders down on thinkers below. The reason he does this is because he says he's going to do this to destroy the table so they can't destroy the picnic. To which, okay, that's your ultimate plan, Green Goblin, huh? Let's hope he doesn't show up in Spider-Verse because basically a light breeze could probably take down this guy in a way.
Yeah, also, him using boulders, Mod Pie on the inside is just cringing hard at this.
Yeah, that too. Well, I guess he also learned from Killer Croc in a way. It was a big rock.
Hey, Marvel stealing from DC, that's totally not unheard of.
Yep, that's not new at all. But basically, the civilians all flee as Miles knocks a boulder out of the way. Goblin continues to throw them all down as Peter just pushes one back. Miles notes that there's so many boulders down there that Goblin can just continuously knock them down. Gwen flies up and notices that there's a canyon on the other side. He plans on having Green Goblin chase her while Peter and Miles knock the boulders down in the canyon to trap him in. Goblin gloats about his robot being the best before Gwen flies up and says that it's not so great because it can't catch her. He angrily says it can and chases her as Peters and Miles prepare the boulders. And again, I like this because I do like how childish they made the Green Goblin. Like, he's definitely supposed to be an adult here because of the voice in that, but I like that they did that. They make him more childish than the actual heroes that are children in that. That, nice little touch they did.
Yep, definitely.
But basically, Gwen easily dodges all of the goo as she gets him into the canyon with Peter and Miles knocking the boulders and blocking the way through. And unfortunately, we do not get to see one of the boulders used to drive for them to deliver a pizza, because if they did, Peter wouldn't have gotten fired from Mr. Aziz.
Yeah. We also don't get to see Gruntilda get crushed by a boulder.
Yeah, that too. Thankfully not. But what happens is Peter says that he's trapped in there, but I do like how this moment actually got a smirk out of me. A goblin goes, "Oh, please!" And it turns out his robot has a turbo jump and just easily leaps out of it, because of course he would have that. That's a moment that, again, I give him credit where credit is due. That is clever. That's one of those things that you'd think that it'd be like, "Oh no, my robot can't get out." But it's like, no, he thought of that, So points to him for having some brain cells there. Let's see, go ahead, Shark.
Yeah, the Green Goblin saw the Krusty Krab training video, noticed that Plankton failed because he didn't get the turbo, and decided to add a turbo to his own robot.
Yeah. See, if he had gotten maximum overdrive, the episode would have just ended right there. So Green Goblin is officially smarter than Plankton.
Yep.
I knew I should have gotten the turbo.
Yeah. Classic. But let's see. Go ahead, Matt. You were saying?
Bobby's the one who's out of his mind.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Nice.
That
Nice.
is great. That is so great. But what happens is... Oh, sorry, go. Sorry.
The coils, Osborne. Activate the coils.
Perfect. That's another great one. But basically, he says that he's leaving, but Reptile shows up as Goblin is shocked that he got free. Reptile turns from a raptor into a T-Rex and bites off the goo cannon. Goblin tries attacking, but Reptile turns into a pterodactyl, then into a triceratops, and smashes the robot to pieces. And it's here we get probably either the best line or the second best line of the episode, with Goblin's annoyed, "How many dinosaurs can this guy turn into?" Which, again, I give him credit. That is absolutely a reaction that he would have in this kind of way. But
Yeah, I'm also imagining the faux Goblin saying that. How many dinosaurs can this kid turn into?
oh, I
Excuse me.
easily can. He is just perfect.
Yes.
But Goblin basically runs out of the cockpit of his dinosaur robot and tries to run away and escape, as Team Spider turns back into their human forms and wrap him up in webs. Green Goblin says a weird thing like, "Oh, gobbles snitches," or something like that, which just sounds weird. It's like, that's weird. You try giving him a catchphrase that sounds that awkward, and yeah, it doesn't work. But this is basically where the episode ends, because Team Spider loves their new dinosaur powers, and they all high-five with each other and vow to use it more.
Yes. Also, meanwhile, Green Goblin would eventually escape and then go on a car trip with the boys, namely Vulture, Rhino, and Electro.
And Electro is female in this continuity, so that'd be even more interesting.
Okay, then. I did not see that coming.
Yeah, for some reason.
About that.
Yeah, I don't know what it's. I guess because they thought Spider-Man didn't have enough female villains, even though he kind of does. With you add like Felicia Hardy and all that. But regardless, Spidey and His Amazing Friends, as of this recording, is still being made, and I haven't watched any of it because I really wouldn't. Apparently, they kept their dino forms, and the villains got dino forms, including Electro, who, as I previously mentioned, is female, and maybe we'll talk about that someday because it'd be interesting anyway.
Oh shit, we're talking about that? Like,
Yeah.
what? Okay. I
Definitely,
am
I'll put
kind
it
of
on
in
the
love
list.
with this show now.
Yep. But yeah, for my opinion on this, I don't know how to feel about it, because on one hand, I feel like Young Jedi Adventures is more exciting than this in terms of like a show that tried to be more like Star Wars comparing to this trying to be more like actual Spider-Man. But at the same time, I feel this is a better made show. This is a show that would better draw kids' attentions. This is a show that probably wouldn't annoy the parents as much. And to give them credit is due, they do seem to really care about Marvel in that, So I feel as a whole, if you're a parent and you want to show your kid like something on like Disney Plus or something, because Disney channels all over are closing down in that. Basically, I feel like this would probably be a better choice than the Young Jedi Adventures because, again, at least this feels like an actual show. And again, Goblin definitely helps. I mean, that definitely boosts it for us.
Yeah.
Yep. But basically, it is now time for the question of the week, which is going to be a very interesting one, which is, what is your favorite Spider-Man moment or memories or basically a piece of media? I'll go first, and mine is interesting because I got into Spider-Man in the 2000s, mainly because of the Tobey Maguire movies, and all these years later with all the TV shows and all of like the different variations and versions of him, the Tobey Maguire Sam Raimi trilogy, it still is my favorite version of Spider-Man. It really, really is. They're just so well-made movies, especially for the 2000s. Like, it really just busted the superhero genre wide open. Like, without Spider-Man, would we have gotten, like, for example, the MCU? Or would we have gotten, like, the DC, movies and that, or anything, X-Men was a good movie, but I think Spider-Man was the one that really pushed it forward and really made superheroes the genre that they became, basically. That's why they became so omnipresent in pop culture, is because of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. And it still absolutely holds up. Like, are some of the special effects dated? Yeah,
Yes.
like the part where the Green Goblin throws his pumpkin bomb and they turn into skeletons. They look like Windows 98 effects now. They look like Halloween e-cards. But aside from that, the story is great. The acting is great. I mean, Spider-Man 2 is one of the greatest superhero movies ever. It's just ever in general. Like, the part with the surgery of Doc Ock with the tentacles attacking all the doctors. That is some Evil Dead level stuff going on right there. Like the one doctor being pulled in the darkness and like it's like the hacksaw basically screeching on the ground. That is such a great, great moment. And of course it has the great ending. No, I will not die a monster. To which case I have to say, thanks MCU for ruining that great, great moment. That's really nice of you.
Yeah, honestly, like, to be fair, this is the same director who did Evil Dead, so that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It was like Sam Raimi basically doing the Evil Dead. And even Spider-Man 3, it's a movie that I never hated. I know people turn around on Spider-Man 3 now, but I liked it from the beginning. And I thought that, like, the whole Venom thing with, like, all the complaints of, oh, Peter's acting emo. He's acting so stupid. It's like, gee, maybe that's the point that he's acting stupid and no one likes him. It's have a
it's
little bit
because
of
of the
basic
freaking
media
symbiote.
literacy. Exactly. And I actually thought Venom wasn't too bad in it, all things considered. I know Sam Raimi didn't actually want to put Venom in the first place, but for what it was, a different version of it, I think they did a pretty good job, not going to lie. It's kind of a shame we didn't get Spider-Man 4, because I would have had the Lizard and Felicia Hardy in it, and it would have been very, very interesting. And it also would have had Mysterio, played by none other than the legend Bruce Campbell. The fact we didn't get that is a crime.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah, it would have been revealed. All the cameos he made in the other 3 Spider-Man movies, that was Mysterio all along.
That would have been amazing. Also, It was Agatha all along.
Yeah, but
had to make that joke.
I say, the Amazing Spider-Man movies, they're okay. They're, the MCU, just doesn't click with me. Spider-Verse is great. I give them that. Spider-Verse is really, really good. I'll probably be 100 years old by the time the next one comes out because of all the, problems they're having with the third one now. But regardless, I'm looking forward to it nonetheless. And yeah, in terms of like cartoons and that, it's kind of weird. I guess I was at the age where Spider-Man cartoons kind of just passed me by for the most part. Like, never saw the '90s show, never saw the MTV show, or like the ones with Drake Bell or anything like that. And it's kind of a shame because I definitely want to check out more of them. And never gotten into the comics or anything, but definitely am trying to sometime in the future. But yeah, that's gonna be my response for my favorite Spider-Man memories slash moments is watching the Spider-Man trilogy and in real time coming out in theaters and just blowing my mind with how good it is because man, they absolutely hold up. And if you haven't seen them in a long time, go rewatch it because you will definitely enjoy them. But let's see, Angron, what would you have to say?
Yeah, I too definitely grew up with the Raimi verse. Like, when I was like still very young, I didn't fully see the first Spider-Man movie, nor the second one for that matter. But good lordy, did they have an impact on me? Like, this was what I thought of every time every time Spider-Man came up. Like, it's the web swinging geek who's pretty much like kick ass yet also a little dorky because let's be honest, Peter is absolutely a dork. But
Yep.
yeah, this definitely got me started on the path of Spider-Man. Like, it was amazing. Speaking of another thing that got me somewhat started a little bit was Spectacular Spider-Man, which I saw a few episodes, and this was no doubt made by the same people who did the X-Men for the most part. So that definitely helped a lot. I also read some of the comics. The one I remember the most is the one where Aunt May's house burns down, so she, Spider-Man, and Mary Jane take her to the Avengers Tower and keep her safe there while Spider-Man fights Hydra, apparently. But otherwise, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to say. Oh yeah, another thing, mainly involving the games, Spider-Man 2018. Like, that game definitely was amazing. Like, there were a few other games I played of Spider-Man. I played a little bit of the first Spider-Man back in the day, and I also what was another good one? I saw people playing Spider-Man 2 on the PlayStation. But yeah, that was one of, if not the first times I ever actually played a Spider-Man game outside of Marvel Ultimate Alliance. So
Ooh,
yeah,
nice.
those are going to be my Spider-Man memories for the most part.
Yeah, I can definitely see why. Like I say, they definitely sound like again Marvel pre MCU is really really fascinating. Just how different it was in a way, you know.
Yep.
Yep. But anyway, let's see. Math, what would your pick be?
So I'm the born in the '80s, raised in the '90s kid. So I've got to mention Venom at some point. And as a kid, that was my favorite thing about Spider-Man. As an adult, I've really grown to appreciate the subtle characterization of J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah, I
Hear me
feel
out here for a
that.
minute.
Go ahead. Yep.
Jameson, if you, especially in the movies, if you watch closely, he's typically portrayed as the antagonistic characteristics, but they give him actual like good redeeming qualities whenever he's confronted with anything. Particularly the one scene with when Green Goblin comes in and threatens to kill him if he doesn't reveal who's been sending the pictures of Spider-Man. He just lies to Goblin's face and says, get them in the mail. I don't know who they're from. That kind of shit. Because he is the kind of person that really cares about people and really wants to help people and protect people. That's not something that you typically see from characters that are given these sort of base, like I said, antagonistic characteristics. And that's really nice to see that you can have this sort of, he's rough and aggressive and hates the main hero. Oh, but he's actually a really good guy. Let me show you how. It doesn't like the main hero for whatever reason.
Yeah, you
Yep.
know, you just hit the nail on the head there, really, and that's a moment that I'm actually kind of upset I forgot to mention because again, it shows how good of an actor that J.K. Simmons is, I mean, the guy is still playing Jameson today. That is how iconic he has basically gone with the character in a way. And because that moment in particular is so great. And one of the other little moments I love with Jameson in that version is Spider-Man 2, where basically Mary Jane runs off from the wedding, and the first thing Jameson does is lean over to his wife, tell the cater, don't open the caviar. Whatever you do, don't open the caviar. He's more concerned about that than like, the bride of his son basically running off. I love that. But yeah, no, that's a great thing right there, And like I say, I never saw the '90s show, but I've heard a lot about it because it's still kind of omnipresent in a way, and definitely have to see about checking it out sometime.
Yeah, definitely with Peter's scream of "No!"
Yep. Yeah, that moment too. It's just,
So it doesn't beat the screaming Spider-Man in the second Spider-Man movie.
yeah, that too. Classic, yeah. Oh, one thing I will say is one thing of Spider-Man I have seen and kind of forgot to mention, sorry about this, but 67 Spider-Man is just it's funny as hell. It's
Yeah.
not terrible either for the time period when you think about it, and what is thing with it is it's funny as hell. But
Yeah.
yep. But anyway, continuing onward, let's see. Shark, what would you have to say?
Well, this is going to be an odd one. So
Go
let's start
ahead.
by talking about the two main components of these memories. One of them is the Tobey Maguire movie trilogy because, yeah, I remember seeing them. They're fun. They're great. The second one definitely is the best one. And the other part is the 60s Spider-Man because, of course, the memes, but the awkward animation and, well, more than anything, the memes again. But so why do I bring these two up? And what do they have to do with my great Spider-Man memories? Both of these versions of Spider-Man were popular subjects to YouTube poops.
Oh boy,
Indeed.
here we go.
Yep, my best
Wire.
Spider-Man memories are Spider-Man YouTube poops, which, yeah, considering they were grabbing the memetic movies and the funny 60 show, you can get an idea of what they do with this. Like, I remember a joke from one of them where J.J. Simons asks for a violin and he throws it at Peter and it almost launches him out of the building. And this is one of the great jokes, like the main trilogy. I remember another one that has like Electro stealing candy rather than technology and stuff. Like they literally edit everything he steals to be bags of candy or giant chocolates or something like that.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think my
Yeah.
favorite gaff would have to be freaking the Spider Pig joke from the Simpsons movie, where it's like Spider Pig
Yeah.
Oh
does
my
whatever a
Yeah.
Spider Pig does.
That was everywhere. Oh, that brings back
man.
memories of being like 13, and even over here, that was on every commercial break. It's like
Yeah.
every, and they were like so like they were so sure that was gonna be what people remember about the Simpsons movie, which yeah.
They were right.
Yep.
Like,
But no, yeah, that's
I
definitely
remember
it's
with
funny.
another one that. Yeah. Continue.
It's oh no, you go ahead first. I go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna tell like, oh, I remember other gags from our YouTube poops where in the second movie when Aunt May hits a banker that's about to steal a con, he makes like this "ow" sound, and they pretty much added that sound in every fight scene. Every time Spider-Man or Doctor Ock get hurt, you will hear "ow."
That sounds great.
So yeah, it's
Wow.
like yeah, it's kind of funny how of everything Spider-Man has done is the YouTube poops that got me the most memories.
Yeah. Again, it's what I was gonna say is that it's amazing how stuff like those YouTube videos can stick with you. You know what I mean? It really
Yep.
is something else. But
I mean,
basically,
just take a listen to our previous episode, Luigi.
yeah. Oh yes. Thankfully,
Luigi too.
Yep.
yeah. At least this is better made than that. Let's say it that way. But let's see, Stryker, what would your favorite Spider-Man moments or memories be?
Oh, absolutely the Raimi movies. I
Same.
grew up with the first one on VHS of all things. And of course, I tried getting into the I tried getting into the Amazing Spider-Man. It just did not. It just was not for me, to be honest.
I
But
see.
like, yeah, I played that as well as like. Weirdly enough, I played Spider-Man 3, the video game.
Ooh, neat. Go ahead.
Yeah, like it was one of my favorite games at the time. It was also the first game that I got when I turned 13. So,
Nice.
like, it was just, it was the one that I grew up with, and it's the one that that I will still have fond memories of.
Yeah, I could definitely see why. And again, yeah, the Romney trilogy is one of those I think for a lot of people, like my age or our age, that it definitely sticks out because again, it probably was some of the first superhero media that we that most people probably saw. Come to think of it, that the Batman movies and superhero and Superman ones were like years old at this point, but this is like the first new ones, let's say.
Oh yeah, for sure, for
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
Which
But
I
yeah.
still remember. My mom really still wants me to see the 80s Batman movie.
It's
Yeah,
great.
you
It's great. If
should.
you
They're
haven't seen it,
fun.
check it out. It's amazing.
Oh yeah.
It absolutely holds up. And let's see here. Jordan, what would your favorite Spider-Man moment or memory be?
I grew up with the 2000 Spider-Man movies. Um, and then the cartoon that Stan Lee kind of not did like. I kind of want to say would probably be the one where Spider-Man is fighting. Oh, I can't remember his name. That kind of made Mary Jane disappear into vapor, into water. I can't remember what his name was. Billy or Bobby or something. I can't remember. It was like years ago.
All good, all good.
I think it's the 90s one.
Yeah, the
Yeah, that's
90s
it.
cartoon, because again, I grew up around that area. But I kind of want to say maybe Spider-Man and Amazing Friends cartoon where he works with the X-Men, I think. Or, no, with Firestar Tell Her Story. That one I kind of remember most, too. There were a lot of Spider-Man times I grew up around.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
hard for me to pick, but we all agree that we don't talk about Spider-Man with the Venom, with the parasite. We don't talk about that one. I don't talk about that one.
Yeah. But I liked that. I thought it was a good one. But anyway, yep, definitely can
Oh, yeah.
see why this happens. And now it is time for the patent pending Dragoness Scale. We're going to rank Spider-Gwen, which will be interesting. Now, this is interesting because the design is pretty much like Mrs. Pterodon. And in case you guys remember that episode, she got a pretty good score, all things considered. But with this one, I don't know because again, the design is perfect. The design is like if it was just on design alone, she didn't say a word and just like chirps and that, it'd probably get like a 6, 7 out of 10 on that alone. But the characterization is they just have her be a dinosaur, and I'm not saying that they do anything wrong with it, far from it, but it just feels like they don't go all the way with it for some reason. Now, that being said, she's not bad at all. Like, she still is a well made character, and I like they enjoy their dinosaur forms and use them regularly. That's always a plus. It's not one of those things like, oh, we have a new superpower. Okay, now let's never use it ever again. It's
I
like,
am
no,
so glad.
I am too. I am glad that they actually kept that in because it's always annoying when superhero shows do that. And so many of them do that. Even like really good ones do that at times. But yeah, for me, Spider Gwen is going to get a 7 out of 10 because, again, design alone is Mrs. Pterodon and she's great. And again, characterization for her is not really strong in this episode, but then again, she's not really the main focus. If anyone's the main focus of this, it's probably Green Goblin of all characters.
For the
So,
most
considering the
part.
fact she's kind of a secondary character in her own show, I feel like I got to give her a 7 out of 10. If she had like more to do in it, maybe she could get like an 8 or a 9. But regardless, still a really, really good score. So, Angron, what would you give her?
I'm gonna go one higher, 8 out of 10. Yeah, I agree. Her characterization is basically Kitty Spider Gwen, but as a pterodactyl. and I will admit that they don't do too much with her. But what they do with her is pretty impressive, all things considered. Like, it's basically a spider. It's basically Spider-Gwen as a pterodactyl, and honestly, design is pretty great. And what she and her friends do, and the fact that they actually keep it going forward, is definitely enough to warrant a lot more brownie points than should honestly be given. So it's for those reasons I'm gonna give her an 8 out of 10 instead of a 7.
All good, all good. I can definitely see why. Math, what would you give her?
I'm unfortunately going the opposite route of you guys. If you look at the Parkersaurus Rex and the Milesaurus, they look really cool and well designed, and there's so many little details and references, and the way the colors are, they just pop and explode. Whereas the Gwenadactyl looks kind of flat.
For
I'm
the
not sure if it's
most
the
part.
way that I'm not sure if it's the way that she's colored or if it's that she's that much smaller, so it was harder to make out details for her. But she just does not look as good as the other two, which is a darn shame. And this episode did not have her do much, which is another problem. So she barely has any characterization in this. I'm sure that's not in the series. We just have a bad episode for her, unfortunately. And with her design being kind of lesser than the other two, I'm going with a 5.
Ooh, if I had a feeling.
It's all right. It's all right. You know, I can definitely understand where you're coming from because again, it doesn't really pop like the other two. I think because again, Spider Gwen's colors are pretty much the exact same that she's always had with like the whites, the pinks, the blacks, and that. And I definitely could see, I definitely see why you'd give her that. But yeah, no, I get you. So let's see,
Yeah.
Stryker, what would you give
Which
her?
is weird because normally,
go
like, I love her coloring as well. It's just it didn't work in this mode compared to her normal Spider-Gwen outfit.
Huh?
I
Wonder why
mean,
that
it's
is.
not too bad. It works enough, in my opinion. But I can kind of understand, like, compared to Miles and Spider-Man, how she could feel a little lesser for it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely. So let's see, Stryker, what would you give her?
I'm going the same route with math actually, because
Oh dear.
if this was
Okay.
the Spider Gwen from the comics, it's a definite like 9 out of 10 actually.
Mm.
But for some reason in this show, that's more of a 5 out of 10.
Ooh. Yeah, it's
Mm.
honestly the fact that they made them into kids instead of like having them be, Spider-Men.
I mean,
Exactly.
that could be a part of it. I definitely understand why. And yeah, no, I definitely understand why. And hopefully, maybe knock on wood, we get to see this happen in the new Spider-Verse movie, maybe. Like Spider-Gwen becomes a pterodactyl, maybe. That'd be good.
Hey, maybe.
Lord and Miller, if you're listening to this, please put that in. Please.
Yes.
It's in
But-
production
One can
hell,
dream.
unfortunately.
Yep.
Yeah.
We could dream. Yep. But let's see, Shark, what would you give him?
So I am taking like points from what everyone is saying. Like, yeah, it's true that of the three of them, I think she's the one that gets to do the least as a pterodactyl. And I don't mind the characterization for what the show is. It works. And I think I like the design. So there's plus and there's cons. Funny enough, since we mentioned Mrs. Pterodon, I'm gonna bring something I said about her that applies to Gwen. Stop looking at me with the big old eyes.
Ah,
Look at
Nice.
me with them
Nice.
big old eyes.
Because there are some shots where her eyes just look really starry into your soul.
yeah.
So I'm
I
thinking more.
strangely didn't
Nothing
get
new
that.
around. A little beyond that, I'm gonna give her a 6 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, I understand why. And sadly, unfortunately, they did not go to the Flying Dutchman to teach them how to tie a knot, because I'm sure that would have been really fascinating. So
Nice.
only we got to see that. But let's see. Jordan, what would you give Spider Gwen from the show?
I like the design for her pterodactyl form. I give her a 5.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
All good, all good. So, yep,
Yeah.
kind of a lower score than usual, although Lulu from Super Mario World kind of got the similar thing. So, I guess this is the second week in a row where a character got this kind of score in a way. Pretty
Well,
interesting.
I mean, to a point that this is like meant for kids, so it makes sense, like why she's getting a lower grade. But again, this is only for like kids' point of view. They would probably be like, "Oh, I give this a 10 or a 9," kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I
Mm.
hear you, I hear you. But, yep, definitely was an interesting episode this week, and because this is not going to be the last time we talk about this show, because we're going to talk about Electro sometime in the future, and of course, there's the other Spider-Man show we could talk about. But that's going to be it for this week. If you have any questions, or if you want to tell them if you think the X-Men will show up in this show before the
Nice.
MCU, feel free
Or
to email
Deadpool.
us. Yep, him too. That would have been something else. But feel free to email us at fierydiscourse@outlook.com. Visit us on Twitter at twitter.com/fierydiscourse. Visit us on Blue Sky at Blue Sky Fiery Discourse. Be sure to subscribe to the Fiery Discourse YouTube channel and subscribe to the playlist. Like, hit the bell icon. Be sure to leave comments. Any all comments are appreciated. Also, one of our co-hosts, Lucky Evie, is looking to move to a group home in the UK. There'll be a GoFundMe for that in the description. Next week, we're going to be talking about something else from 2024 because we're going to be talking about the 2024 Skydance animated movie Spellbound.
Spellbound, baby!
Right.
Going to be a lot of fun. We talked about actually their previous film Luck in one of our first episodes, which is definitely going to be interesting comparing that one to this one in a way. And I'm really looking forward to it because it looks beautiful. If nothing else, the character we're going to talk about in this movie is going to get a high score just on design alone. But
Oh, hell
let's see
yeah.
if our characterization helps out with that too. It'll be a lot of fun. But that's going to be it for this week. Until then, thank you all so much for watching and take care.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Peace
Adios.
out.
Adios. See you all next week.